and welcome back to another Learn How to Crochet installment. I'm Lauren. I'm the teen librarian here at the Scott County Public Library in Georgetown, Kentucky.
And I'm Mercedes McLean. I am the outreach manager here at the Scott County Public Library.
And crocheter extraordinaire. So today we are going to teach you guys some stitches and kind of, what would you say, like
these are the basic foundation stitches of any amigurumi pattern that you might decide to do yourself. It is a Japanese word and it means cute toy. And that is basically what we're going to be making. You can see here, Lauren has crocheted these.
This is the first time I've ever crocheted these, and I'm delighted with how they turned out. So.
Yes, they are so cute, and if you are a novice, this is something easy you can pick up once you know the basic stitches of crochet.
Yeah.
So you do want to make sure you go back and you watch our parts 1, 2, and 3 of this series before you get started with this. But today we are going to be learning how to do a magic circle, which is how you start this project. And we're going to be learning increases and decreases. But of course you will need to know how to do single crochet stitches already. And you can be taught all of that in part 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And if you're wondering what these even are, these are little Peep Pillows that we spookified for Halloween. So this is our little Franken Peep. You can see his little bolts here. And of course our Ghost Peep.
Woo!
And you can find the pattern to try this yourself on Creative Bug, which is an online database that you can access with your library card.
Yep, and the easy way to go about doing that is, if you have a library card at home, go to our website, www.scottpublib.org. You're going to want to click e-resources. And from there, you'll find the Creative Bug link. It will ask you for your full library card number. But then once you do that, you'll have access to thousands of free tutorials, patterns. And the pattern for this, which we do have printed out right here, is going to be able to be found under Resources and Pattern Library. And if you scroll down, it's one of the first things that's down there. And they are called Peep Pillows on Creative Bug.
Yes. So without further ado, we will
go ahead and get started.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So today we are going to be making Peep Pillows, and you can make them spooky for Halloween if you want. You can use orange yarn, green yarn, any kind of different colored yarn you want. And what we're going to be doing is learning to do a magic circle. We're going to learn how to do an increase stitch and a decrease stitch. And these are all done in single crochet. Now you can see with our little Ghost Peep here, what we're going to be doing is starting at the top. So we're going to be starting at the top of his head. That's going to be our magic circle. Our increase stitches are going to widen his head, and then we're going to be doing decrease stitches for his neck. And then we're going to have increased stitches again for the body. And this is going to give us that nice shape of our cute little toy animal. Now, the magic circle that we are learning how to do, it is something that is not just used for this. It's also used the basis for a lot of granny square stitches and patterns. And I do have a fancy example to show you. This is what I am currently working on right now. This is the center block of a blanket that I am making. And you can see right here in the middle of my pattern, my very first stitch is right here. That is a magic circle. That is the beginning of this whole thing. So once you learn how to do that magic circle, you're going to be able to take it into a lot of your other crochet patterns that you're going to learn. Now, you're going to need a few extra things for this that you don't normally need when you crochet. So on Creative Bug, there is also a list of tools and materials that you are going to need to do this. So you're going to need yarn, of course, and you're going to want a hook that is going to be a little bit bigger because we are going to be making a larger stuffed toy. You're also going to need things like a yarn needle, a stitch marker, black felt for the eyes and nose, a sewing needle, black sewing thread, and fiberfill. And fiberfill is really easy to find. They have it in Michael's and Hobby Lobby. You can also get it on Amazon. And it is what you're actually going to be stuffing inside, so it gives it that nice shape. Here are a couple of the different items so you know what they look like. This is a tapestry needle, and you can see it's really big, and it has a big hole down here so you can get your yarn in through it. And this is what you're going to be using to attach the ears to the top. And this is just a classic whip stitch. If you don't know how to do that, you can look up videos on YouTube on how to do that. But any way you want when you're first learning to go ahead and just sew it down is going to be okay. You'll get the hang of it as you go. There's no right way really to do this. It kind of takes practice. Also, we've got a stitch marker. This is going to be a stitch marker. You can see that it opens up. And then whatever stitch you were on in the process of crocheting, if you need to mark the stitch that you last ended on, you can go ahead and put it straight into the stitch and close it, and it won't go anywhere. Also, felt, super easy to find. You can draw on it. Makes it a little bit easier when you're cutting out things for your face. And then if you don't want to use felt for the eyes, you can buy something called, these are little toy eyes, and they can go into the back of whatever you are making. And then before you close up your stuffed animal, you would put these into the eyes and then the backing in, and it would close down, this little thing right here, and then it'll stay in. So you can buy kinds of these, and they come in lots of different shapes and sizes. And you can see there's even some like really big eyes if you wanted big giant eyes. So those are some of the supplies that you'll need to do this project. Or if you just want to practice making the shape and not fill it, you can. Learning how to crochet in the round is an art form in and of itself. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, first we are going to learn how to do a magic ring, a magic circle. And you will see this illustrated in patterns as an MR most of the time. And this is kind of complicated, but as soon as you learn how to do it, you will be able to use this in almost every crochet pattern you come across. A lot of times the pattern will ask you to chain a certain number and then do your first single crochet stitch into a certain chain. But doing a magic circle really speeds up the process, and it will actually make your work smoother as well. So if you need to pause this part of the video at any point, please go ahead and do so. It is going to look like magic when I do it, but I will slow it down, and so this is something you can practice over and over again. So first thing you're going to want to do is you are going to take your 3 fingers in your left hand. You're going to want to place your yarn over them and your thumb on top of it. Now the tail of your yarn should be facing towards you. Now what we're going to do is we're going to wrap it around our hands and create an X over our palm. So you can see there, it looks like I have an X. I just went ahead and fastened this yarn right over my thumb. Now you've got an X on this side, and then we're going to flip our hand. Now, I usually leave my pinky out so it can go ahead and hold that yarn down. So I'm holding it with my thumb on this side and my pinky on this side. Now this is the part that's a little complicated. You're going to want to stick your hook face down so the hook is underneath, through the first yarn, and grab this yarn. And you're going to want to make a twist. So you can see I've got that twist now right here, and I've got the yarn twisted. And now we need to go on top and pull this yarn right there. We're yarning over again. Now, Here is the part that's going to make it look like magic. Normally I turn my hand to do this part because I think it's easier, but I'm going to try to show you what I'm doing. So you're going to want to pull this piece of yarn through that loop you made and then let all your fingers go. This is your magic ring. Now most of the time when I do this, and I want you guys to practice with this a little bit because you want to get fast at it. So I've got that, I've made my X. You can see I've got everything like that. I usually go like this, flip it over, pull this up, and I actually just flip my hand. And flipping my hand will help bring that into the loop that I need. Now, if you need to, pause the video, go back, rewatch it again, and practice this over and over. And we are going to go ahead now and we are going to crochet into this magic ring. So we've got our tail end here, and we have a loop. And for the very first stitch, what we're going to want to do is we're going to be crocheting into this loop. Now with this pattern, this is a good time for me to show you guys the pattern. Now this looks really complicated, but I promise you it's not once you learn what some of the words stand for. So a lot of different patterns are going to simplify and abbreviate what it wants you to do. And so you just need to learn what each one of those means. And most of the time, it'll give you some kind of rubric that you can use. Here, when it says 2SC, that's just single crochet. SC usually means single crochet. When you see something like N is increase. Now, sometimes some patterns will do INC. Some patterns are just IN, but that's an increase, and we'll talk about how you go about doing that. And then you'll also see things like SC2 tog. Now this is a decrease. They are using this to mean single crochet 2 stitches together. Sometimes you'll see it abbreviated DC as like decrease. They here have decided to write it as SC2 tog, which means 2 together. And you'll see here that this pattern is doing chain 2, and you can do it that way if that's easier for you, if the magic ring is a little scary. But that magic ring is going to make it just a lot more easy to get things started. So you can see here it says beginning at top of head, chain 2. We're going to then be working 5 SC and second chain from hook, do not join. So I'm going to be skipping this chain 2 step because I have my magic ring, and I'm just going to work 5 single crochets into my magic ring. So to do that, I'm just going to start doing, I would do 2 single crochets like I normally would any other project. Now it can be hard to get started. If you want, look at the way my hands are placed. I usually like to put my middle finger and this finger right here inside the loop, and then my pointer finger I like to hold my yarn, and that gives me the tension that I need to get this started. So I'm just going to go into my magic circle. I'm going to bring up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and I'm going to do that 5 times. And if I have to hold my work, I will. 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, so now I have 5 single crochets inside of my magic loop. Now here's the magic part. You're going to take this tail end and make sure you hold down where your yarn is, and you're just going to pull. And when you pull all of that together, you've got a circle. And to go back to the beginning of the round, I'm just going to do a slip stitch into my very first stitch. Now we can actually count how many stitches we have so we know that we didn't mess up. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is my slip stitch. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and slip stitch. Now I'm going to use, once I get this done, I'm going to use my stitch marker to know where my first chain is, where I should be starting from. Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and crochet up 1. Now I'm going to want to make sure to only use these next ones. I'm not going to want to do anything else. So I've gone ahead and gone into that. And I can go ahead and use my stitch marker here. That is my first stitch. So I know not to crochet into that. I don't want to crochet into that. All right, we're going to stop here, and now we're going to go ahead and move on to an increase. Alrighty, so we're going to go ahead and learn how to do an increase. I went ahead and I did a few rows just so you can kind of see the shape that it's going to start taking. You're going to see we're going to have bumps on one side. We'll have these nice little V-stitches on the other side. And it's going to be kind of up to you what side you want to use when forming it. It will start taking a bowl shape. So it's going to start kind of, you can already see it starting to turn upward on itself. So you're going to need to decide if you want that to show or this to show. You just flip it however you want. And we're going to go ahead and do an increase, but let's go ahead first and look at the pattern. So I am on row 6 now. That's where I am. And my instructions say SC and next 4 STS, which means single crochet in the next 4 stitches, and then 2 single crochets in next stitch, which is my increase. So let's go ahead and see how that's going to look. So I'm putting my marker at the very last stitch. So I know that's the very end of whatever round I got done. Some people like to put it at the beginning. It's kind of up to you. It's easier for me to remember once I get all the way around. That is my last stitch. And my pattern should be complete there as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do what my pattern tells me to do. It says single crochet in the next 4 stitches. So I'm just going to go through both loops, and I'm going to go ahead and do that for 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And remember, if you don't know how to do a single crochet, please look at the videos before this one. So now I have 4 single crochets, and I'm going to go ahead and do my increase. Increases are extremely easy. All we are going to do is I have my next stitch is going to be right in here. I know it's going to be. I'm going to go right through that. I'm going to do 1 single crochet into that, and then I'm going to go right back in that same place and do another single crochet. Now I have 2 single crochets in 1 stitch, and then I'm going to follow that pattern all the way around. So I'm going to do 4 single crochets, and then I'm going to do an increase into this stitch. So I'm going to do 1 single crochet and 2 single crochet, another single crochet into that same place. And then I'm going to follow my pattern all the way around. Now, if I counted correctly, by the time I get back to my stitch marker, I should have just an increase left. That last stitch should be an increase. Now, if it's not an increase, then that means I messed up and I need to go back and redo my round. All right, and looks like I did it right because I've got 4 single crochets, and my last stitch is going to be a double crochet. And that is how you're going to do an increase. I'm going to take my stitch marker out. I am going to do 2 single crochets into that last one and put my stitch marker indicating that is the end of my round. All right, and the last thing that we're going to learn how to do today is we are going to learn how to crochet 2 together. And you're going to see that indicated on this pattern as SC2 tog. And I'm going to go ahead and show you what that means. Now, I am not in the correct place in my pattern to start decreasing, but that's okay. I just want to show you how this works. It's really super simple. So all you're going to do a decrease is you're going to go in your first hole and pull up, and you're not going to yarn over. Instead, you're going to go ahead and go into the next hole, pull up, and you should have 3 loops on your crochet hook now. You're going to yarn over and go through all 3. So now you have crocheted 2 together. And then your pattern might say something like 3 single crochets, 1 SC, 2 tog. And it's just getting rid of one of the stitches so that you can decrease your work. And that's it.
Thanks for joining us for another crochet video. We hope you enjoy this pattern, and
we hope you have a wonderful spooky season and eat lots and lots of candy and crochet fun spooky things. And we will be over here eating some peeps and some candy. We hope to see you soon at the library. Bye.